who I am. This is what I do. This is who I am. I'm the living proof. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is who I am. Who the fuck are you?
Why, hello, everybody. How are we doing today, honeys? Hello, 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 Michelle Bonewoods. How are you doing? How are you doing? So I'm just going through here really quick, and I'm just needing to make sure that I share this because today I am not banned like I was last week. Last week, I was banned from sharing stuff because we, at the National Bearded Empress pageant, we were doing a fundraiser for the Black Lives Matter movement, and apparently I shared it too many times. Facebook, you know, what's his name? Mark Zuckerberg, whatever the hell his name is. Obviously, she got her panties in a twist when I did that. So they banned me for 24 hours. So I'm just sitting here just having to share all of these little things. So if everybody could go ahead and share the feed at the bottom of your phone, there's a little share button, and share it to your group, share it to your page, share it to your friends, share it to everybody. And today you get me. You get me and our lovely guest, Brady Botiford, our lovely science, Mr. Erick Suarez. You know that story about Humpty Dumpty fell on a wall? Girl, she did not get back up. She had a great fall, honey. Okay? Okay. So, yeah, I messaged her. I was like, so what do you want me to say if anybody asks? And he was like, girl, just tell them the truth. And I was like, well, bitch, you just gave me a floodgate wide open. So, yeah. So she was walking out of the water park, and she went, do. She sent me the picture. I said, bitch, it's broken. It's broken. So Erick, if you're watching, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Let's say hello to Dan Ryan. Dan Ryan is in the hizzy. Hello. He says he loves Brady Botiford, but obviously he doesn't give me any love either. So he just loves Brady. That's the only reason why he's in here. Christy DeLuke, eating dinner, then I have to get ready for work. I will get to watch the first half, and then I have to watch the last half at work. Girl, just bring me with you to work. It will make your clock in and clock out 1, 2, 3 easy. Oh, Erick is watching. So yeah, so girl, we love you. We miss you. We hope that your body heals quickly because we need you to make sure that you are here. We need you to make sure you are there. And we need you to make sure that you are used to it. So let's do just a quick little shout out to the Supreme Court today. Okay, hello. Let's give a quick shout out to the Supreme Court. Rules gay workers protected from job discrimination. So let's just say gay transgender workers protected from job discrimination cannot be fired. Hello, bitch. Finally, United States of America getting together with it. Hello, Kentrell. I love you too. I cannot wait to see you when we're going to be doing a couple of the events together. So yeah, so if everybody could do a bunch of hearts at the bottom of the screen. And I'm seeing that there's a lot of people in here, and it's just me so far. And girl, I'm living for that. You guys are giving me this much love, and it's just me. So let's go through here. Let's share it to here. Should I try to get blocked again? I should try to get blocked again. I'm just going to go through. I'm just going to hit all of it. I'm just going to go boom, 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 boom. Hello, Miss Carla Croqueta. She is in the house. How are you? How are you down there in Miami? Michelle says, I love you. So happy to see this. Well, today I am representing the Q, the queer and LGBTQ plus. You know, it's, I'm going to say this. I honestly when the Q was introduced into the alphabet for our community, I was a little standoffish at first. I was a little standoffish because I was like, wait a minute. When I was growing up, because I'm a young 41, but when I was growing up, to be called queer was bad. It was like derogatory. Like seriously, like it was almost like calling me, a faggot. And so when I entered that, I was like, but I don't get it. Why are we calling each other queer now? And then I went, bitch, we are reclaiming our time and reclaiming our word. We are reclaiming our letter. So we are putting the Q on there. And then it was like, well, what does Q mean? And I was like, I don't know. Let's find out what this is about. So, I mean, obviously I know it's queer. There's also questioning. I think we have like the Spanish alphabet, where I think there's like 32 letters in the Spanish alphabet versus the English alphabet that has 26 letters. The LGBTQ community has like 34 letters. So we're just going to go ahead and just cover that out there. It covers every letter and then beyond, because who shouldn't, love a good letter? But a couple of things that I did find out is, the word queer. So differing in some way from what is usual or normal, odd, strange, or weird. And that's how come when I was growing up, I was like, oh my God, I'm called queer. But honey, she was sitting there waiting for her Cub Scouts leader, what do they call him? Not a den mother, Cub Scout leader, to touch me in appropriate places. I would not have been mad at that. But, there's always role playing. So of relating to or being a person whose sexual orientation is not heterosexual and or whose gender identity is not cisgender. So when I was figuring that out, I was like, well, I do identify as male. So I am a gay cisgender male. And I'm like, okay, so there's not the identification because it's, who are you? How do you feel? How do you identify? That's nobody's business except for your own. And people just need to respect that. And then we have a person who is gay, lesbian, bisexual, pansexual, or otherwise not heterosexual. And then the last definition that I found is a person whose gender identity is non-binary or differs from the sex they had or were identified as having at birth. So basically, when you are assigned a sex at birth, this is the identity that you are not identifying as. And a genderqueer person or a transgender person, a person who is not cisgender. So I think that that's really important for us to have that understanding of what the word queer actually means. It doesn't mean any negativity any longer. We have reached a point in our world to where there should be no label, because a label is made for clothing. And even then, some labels cost more than others. So it just really depends on how you feel that you want to look. Do I want to wear, Prada, or do I want to wear Frada? So it's just the difference of how do I want to portray and be portrayed, and what is important to me. And so if however you identify is important to you, that is exactly how you identify. So there we go. Let's see. Superfluid, to be called queer when we were being raised was an insult. Auntie Maxine said it. Sorry, girl. I can't read because I got these glasses on. I got these glasses on, so I'm like, what'd you say? What'd you say up in here? To be called queer when we're being raised was an insult. And Auntie Maxine said it best. We are reclaiming our time. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Hello, Mr. Julius Vaughn of Fat Marker. We have Fat Marker in the house. We absolutely love Fat Marker. Make sure that you are checking out fatmarkerclothing.com for all of your gay wares. And Be Too Much. I was just given an award for being too much for a voice of the community. And I was like, they love me. They really, really do. They love me. But also, at the end of the show, I'm going to show you the little giveaway that we're going to be doing next week that Julius of Fat Marker has donated to Sass and Science to give away. But you have to stay here to the end of the show to find out what the little giveaway is, and it's cute. I was like, I kind of want to like just have Dan log on and him just win it because I actually want it. Let's see. Joshua, Carla Croqueta says reclaiming the alphabet. Yes, ma'am. JC, preach. Yes. Carla says, I don't conform to gender. That's me. Bitch, exactly, because this is me. This is me. You do not need to conform to a gender. Nobody has to. Erick says, love the glasses. Brady says, hello, Bear. Hello, hello, hello. JC says, love you, Erick Suarez. So I'm just going to go through and share it again. So there's something else that I just want to point out really quick, that 1996, the year 1996 was actually a very important year for those of you that do not know this. In 1996, the LGBT, at the time LGBT, organization, minds of the world came together and they sat down and they were like, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some letters for the kids. And the Q was one of them. It may refer to anyone who is non-heterosexual or non-cisgender instead of exclusively to people who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. So they wanted to include them. They wanted to include the people that identified as a non-binary or not cisgendered, or they just identify as them instead of identifying as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. Where I think has happened is to recognize the inclusion, a popular variant adds the letter Q for those who identify as queer or are questioning their sexuality, sexual identity. LGBTQ has been recorded since 1996. So that, that really does go ahead and that gives us a lot of information that, if you think about it, 1996, for those of you that were around, that was the year before I graduated. And I came out in high school and I was called every letter in the book that you could, literally every single letter in the book that you could call, in not a good way. And so the fact that that happened, and then now today, the letter Q is so embraced, it shows that things happen with time. As long as you are willing to fight for it, and as long as you are willing to keep your voice being heard and not back down, things will change. Nothing can happen overnight. Rome was not built in a day, which means that whatever you stand behind, you need to make sure that you are constantly standing behind it. Nothing is a trend, nothing is a fad if you have a truth, belief, and a love for it. So let's see. Erick Suarez says, love the glasses. Thank you. Ron Moore, hello from the Caribbean. Ron Moore and his gorgeous husband, Tony, live in Puerto Rico. They have a beautiful bed and breakfast down there. Thank you, Ron, saying I look fabulous. I'm just going to throw that up on there. Yes, I do. Thanks. And Joe Troller gave me a bunch of hearts. And Ron says, more truth. So, who is ready for our lovely, gorgeous, beautiful, I actually have a story that when we bring him on that I'm going to share with you guys where it created a bond that a friendship was there, but a bond of trust actually happened. No, he didn't do what some of you guys are thinking, but there was a trust that was brought in. So this gorgeous, handsome, beautiful human being, Brady Bodiford, is joining us now. Hello, Brady.
Hello.
Guardian Brady. Hello, how are you?
I am well, thank you. How are you doing?
She's just a little warm, so she has her little
I can't relate, I'm sorry.
She's warm. She's warm. I think you're, what, 67 degrees up there?
Yeah, last I checked. Yeah, 68 now.
You guys went up in temperature because you've been talking to me.
Probably.
Chicago's like, oh, she's on the phone with the hottie. So we gotta get all
exactly.
So how is Chicago doing up there?
Wonderful. We have been peacefully protesting. It's been quite nice. The demonstration on Sunday was absolutely massive. I didn't have the opportunity to go because I still am not like, because I've been shut in at home for months. I just did not find the energy to do it. But I took my credit card and gave some donations to some Black Lives That Matter and all those other things. So I've been doing that. It's been nice. It's been interesting to see the city's response to a lot of that. But weather-wise, we're doing really good. It's actually kind of aggravating that this pandemic is going on because it would be nice weather to be out by the the lake right now. And hello, Michael.
Yes, Michael Thomas says Brady. I love Michael Thomas. I love Michael Thomas.
I do too.
So Brady, so before we get into the depths of queer, I'm going to tell a little story. Is that okay with you? That if I share the story? All right.
Yes.
So I was in drag one time, and Brady and I, we were sitting there, or no, we were at part of the house, and then we went to IHOP.
We went to the gay hop and
across from me. And I think we were basically just like sitting there, and we were just gaggling back and forth at each other. And you had said something sexual, and I said, "Honey, not with those nails." And like quickly after that, I left. She was also drunk. And then I remember we went to I think
it was another event.
Yeah, we went to Neighborhood Takeover.
Yeah.
And you were like, "I need to speak with you." And I was like, I was like, "Oh, okay."
Like,
yeah, you're like, "We need to have a conversation." And I was like, "Okay." And you were like, "So what did you mean that not with those nails? Because I need to hear your explanation." Because
and for the rest of the class, I had my nails done. I had every intention to do mine today, but that just didn't happen. So, I was doing some video editing, sure, and that kind of got a little messed up. But yeah, so I had my nails painted and and that's because that was part of my outfit for the evening.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so I was like, "What do you mean?" And I was just like, because you had them long, like you almost had like acrylics or something on. And I was like, "What do you mean?" You're like, "Well, I was a little insulted by that." And I was like, "Oh, no. I was just saying the fact that when you have nails on, like when I have like this length nail, I can't even beat my meat because I don't like the way that it feels. Like I don't like the way it feels." I was like, "It's not the fact that you have nails. It's just I don't like doing this with these little stubs." And you were like, "Okay." As long as we had an understanding.
Yep.
She was about to read me house down. Like,
I mean, I will fully admit that I definitely was not sure. So I was definitely giving you the benefit of the doubt because I'm pretty sure that I just misunderstood that. I also was not sober at the time because that's why you go to the IHOP after.
Exactly. And then later that night, you were the first person that ever flogged me. You flogged me. And let me tell you, whenever I had never been flogged. I had never been flogged ever. And I will tell you, I remember I literally almost had tears in my eyes. And it wasn't because of pain. It wasn't because of pain, because you were very trained. It was because I am so used to being in control. For those of you that don't know, I am a control freak.
She is.
I am a control freak. But it was literally the first time that I had ever relinquished control. It felt good. It felt good.
It was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
It was. It was cute. Dan Ryan says Brady is the best flogger ever.
I try.
So let's just say hello to a couple people in here really quick because it doesn't show up on the StreamYard, so I have to go back and forth through the Facebook and the StreamYard. So hello, LaDiamond Hayes, if you're still in here. Hello, Randy Cochran, Nathaniel Swigert, my cousin. Hey, Ethan Suarez. I hope you are taking your husband to the hospital, and I hope he is okay with his Humpty Dumpty fell down and broke his foot. And Nurse Summers darling, hello, gorgeous. Hello, Del Harrison, aka Power Infinity. Hello, Robert David and Ron.
Power Infinity is in here.
Power Infinity.
Power Infinity was the first alt, I would say drag, but I don't think that they use drag as much. But back in the 2000s when I first started getting into the leather community. That was the first like queen that I saw perform, and that was absolutely amazing.
Amazing. Oh, we also have Shishi LaRue in here. Hello, Miss Shishi LaRue. Hello. Hello, Miss Shishi. Yes, I love Power because he gives that gender fluid.
Yes, it was amazing.
Like that.
It was at a leather title contest in St. Pete, and so he had outfits that were all kinds of like gender fluidity. It was absolutely amazing. I mean, and honestly, it actually is one of the things that eventually, once I finally grew into my queer identity, that's one of the sources of inspiration that I drew from. So
Power has that ability to allow.
Absolutely.
John Porco says, sorry, I'm like, hey girl, hey John Porco, girl. Hey Siri. How many days until July 1st? 16 days, John Porco. 16 days. If nobody knows, on July 1st, he's moving out of my house. See, I make sure I document it every week. So if he ever says that I didn't tell him, I could be like, honey, hold on. Let me rewind the tapes. Okay. All right. So I have a question for you. What does queer mean to you?
Okay. So I want to first say that queer is definitely a term that means something different to everyone. So when you encounter, or when I've encountered people who are queer in the past, a lot of times it's something that varies greatly depending on the person's perspective, because it is rooted in that strange oddness that, you know, that kind of gives someone a difference of opinion. Or perspective, I should say. So for me, my queerness is done mainly through my gender expression. I identify as a cisgender male, but my gender expression is very fluid. Like, I mean, I have a top on tonight that would normally be classified in like women's apparel, but it's not. It's mine, so it's mine. So all that matters. Right. So like, I don't have a problem wearing makeup or doing my nails or wearing, you know, fancy glasses, things of that nature, or things that might feminize my appearance. But I also have masculine appearance modifiers. I have a beard, I have a mohawk and that kind of thing. Those things that typically might be identified on a more masculine scale. Just as every letter in the queer alphabet has some stereotypes associated with it. One of the things that I enjoy most about being queer, and how, at least here in Chicago, where I'm able to identify other queer people, is that usually we have some sort of odd colored hair, like mine is currently orange, and it has gone through every color in the rainbow, including the rainbow. So yeah, so for me, queer is it's a simple answer to a complicated question, because for me, sexuality is very fluid. I always say that I'm attracted to hearts, not parts. That it depends on the person, not their plumbing, and that's really important to me, because if I'm attracted to somebody, I'm not really going to be worried about like what's under their clothes, because attraction to me is already established.
Wait a minute. Can you say that part again? Can you say attracted?
So I'm attracted to hearts, not parts.
You need to put that on merch. You need to put that on merch.
Well, I can't say I created it, so
you could put something on there, and then you'll have created it.
And the benefit too, like, when, at least that I've seen the majority of the queer community that I've encountered, we enjoy this fluidity and this sense of lack of uniformity, that we define it ourselves. So I mean, I have several friends that are in the queer area of the LGBTQ, and they definitely have a lot of different things that identify their queerness, whether it be how they dress or what they sexually identify with. Some people are only interested in other queer people. Just depends on how wide you cast the net, or how narrow you want to make your focus.
John says, yes, hearts, not parts. That's 100% true. But that also comes from he's a big old whore. So
I mean,
I'm not
either.
shaming or whore shaming him whatsoever.
I told you that my porn that I was making already rendered right before the show started.
Listen,
So
I was like, oh, she's downloading good porn. And then you sent me you sent me the picture of what was
like, no, it's me.
Oh, it's your porn.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's your porn.
Mm-hmm.
So, so the one I want to say something that I think is actually very beautiful about something you designed. And I want you to explain this flag that you designed representing queer culture. Like, what gave you the inspiration? What made this particular design? Let me see if I can make it to where we can put that as. No, we can't. Like, y'all going to be seeing a bunch of that flipping around. Nope, we can't have it on the screen at the same time. So, what made you design that?
So, for the longest time, as a queer person, I have tried not to. I've tried not to identify myself as what I'm not. I wanted to define myself as something that I am, and that was important to me because I don't want people to think that the queer community is just a bunch of like gay deniers or lesbian deniers and people that are just trying to look different. It's just that we just don't fall into a more easily assignable space in that, and we have our own space, and it's sufficient for us. So I noticed that there really wasn't I hadn't seen anything at the time that really stood out to me as like a queer pride flag. So I thought, all right, let me see if I can design one and what I can put pen to paper. I wound up designing the queer pride flag in May of 2018. And I added I because a lot of us have a home somewhere in the gay pride flag. I used that as kind of a starting point for me. I added the pink back because in the original LG or in the original gay pride flag, the pink stood for sexuality, and I believe that is something, at least to me, that is a core competency to being queer. Is that it's a sexual expression. If you notice, the side on the left is opposite on the side of the right. And I tried to exemplify that as like a spectrum, meaning that we start on one side, sometimes we end on the other, and that it's fluid. It's constantly changing from day to day. The white fields don't have much. They don't have any meaning to me. It was easier than putting it on black because black wouldn't have done the same. I tried it on both. It looked better in white. It kind of gives the colors more contrast. So that's why I chose the white field. Yeah. So I mainly did it to identify with and then just people who want to not have to worry about having something static associated with their life. They can kind of put themselves on a spectrum, if you were.
I think it's absolutely beautiful. I think it's gorgeous.
Thank you.
I think it's stunning. I mean, everybody, like, seriously, like, Brady designed this flag. I think it's absolutely stunning. What I loved about it was I loved how it was flipped, but I also loved how it meets in the middle, and it's like your eyes don't see that it's flipped. It's like it's all become one. And that's what I love. And that's what's important today is, we all are one. There's nobody better than anybody. Well, I'm better than John Porco, but that's a couple people have entered in the room. Therese Marie Vitali, she is a dear friend of mine. Hello. Joey Gallagher, National Bearded Empress Emeritus Lavoie. Hello, Joey Gallagher. He is an essential worker in Philadelphia. David,
nice. I love Philly.
David Crush, I think it is. I'm sorry if I'm slaughtering your name. I am very, very sorry. So again, I apologize for slaughtering your name. Heather Addy says it's infinite. That the picture.
Hey, Heather.
Yes.
She and I are good friends. So.
Oh, she's your good friend. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was going to say, I don't know who you are, but hi, Heather. How are you?
Yeah.
I've shared to like 20 rooms, so who knows what she said, whoops, where did she said, or Joey says, awesome conversation, by the way. Thank you very much. Heather says, infinite. Blah, 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 blah. It is. I love that.
So Hayden brings up a point about, if you 86 the white, it looks like a hair bow. I one of my original designs that I wanted to start with was a bow tie, because if you think about it, while it's becoming more common nowadays, a bow tie in the workplace or any type of environment like that, it wasn't as common. So like that was like oh, that's kind of strange. So that was actually where I kind of came up with a lot of my inspiration for it. And so the design wouldn't really fit with doing angles and then the leveled out to make it look like a bow tie. But that is definitely where I started with that. So I like and hair bow definitely also fits that bill as well.
Listen, I'm living the fact that he said, I love the flag, Heart 86, the white, and it looks like a hair bow. I would love to rock it on top of my leather ball cap I wear every day. Absolutely. Absolutely. If we could give Brady a bunch of hearts on the bottom of the screen, so you're going to go like this. See anybody? You're going to hit these hearts for that design and development and the actual thought process that you put into it. And that's what's amazing is that you actually, a lot of people do things without thought process, and you did it with an actual thought process.
It's still my current cover image on my Facebook profile, and there's a link to my blog where I wrote an article about like my meaning behind it. There's an image there that you can download if you want to adopt it yourself. That's fine. I don't claim any copyright or anything on this because I don't want something like this to be owned by anyone. I think that the community owned things are much better in my opinion.
Bitch.
So go check it out.
Bitch, you just snatched it. You just snatched it with everything. Joey Gallagher says, I almost feel our gender identity and sexual identity are as individual as our names.
It's very true.
Jan says, love rocking a bow tie, the louder the better. I want to go back to what Joey said really quick. It's 100% true. Everybody's name is different, and there's different spellings, and so it's all individual, so it is. Gender identity and sexual identity are individual as ourselves. So why does there have to be any normalcy? Why does there have to be any type of guidelines? Granted, my story, I've said it before, when I went to go have sexual relations with a female, I literally ran and threw up. And that was the day I said, nope, she just likes penis. She just likes penis, But, and that's completely fine. It wasn't the fact that I threw up because it was, it wasn't like repulsive. It was just, nope, not for me. I was also 16, but nope, not for me.
And to speak to Desponian Calypso, DC's remark about the flag, I sincerely appreciate that. Thank you. I remember our comments about it when it was released, and she remarks that that people kind of complain about, well, how many flags do there need to be? Because this was also the year that Philadelphia unveiled their pride flag, which included black and brown stripes, and then the following year when the one with a triangular corner that also has the trans pride colors was also released. And a lot of people have said that, like, why do we need so many flags? And it's because we are so many people. Just like Joey said, like we don't all have the same names. We have very unique names and that. But and that's why I just needed to put something out there that was different. I didn't want something that that incorrectly tied me to an orientation that I'm either not comfortable with or that I don't identify as. So,
well, and speaking on that really quick, just to take it to current situation, if there's any type of government official listening, watching, if this goes across their feed, if it's somehow, I don't know, whatever, this is the part that I want you to hear. We are all individual, Because if we weren't, y'all would have a fucking cure for COVID. Because this is affecting everybody differently, sis.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, we are all individual.
Right.
Everybody is different. There is no normalcy. There is no guideline. There is no there is no staying inside the lines. We are all coloring outside of our lines because we are individual and we are making our own track in history. So if anybody's ever watching this, and if you know anybody, let's make sure that we remind them that if we were all the same and we all had same guidelines and rules and normalcy, that there would have been one person that got sick and we wouldn't have had 4, 5, 7 months of shutdown here. So let me get off that rant because I haven't.
Well, and another thing I would want to say about that when referring to communities, queer is very often the term used associated with groups, identifying groups of people. So like when I say the queer community, I usually include people of all of the letters on the queer alphabet. Usually when I speak to a person's identity, then we are talking about I would want to find out what their individual one is. And I wouldn't assume that they are queer unless they say that they are identifying as queer. One of the remarks that we had made before about this is that, queer used to be a derogatory remark. And the fact is that every term that is used to describe someone in the LGBTQ plus community has been used at some point in time to describe someone in a derogatory way. And even gay, when it meant happy, it was still used in a derogatory manner. And so all of those things have had to go through an evolution of reclamation. And it's important that we recognize that. And I remember as I discovered my own queer identity, I remember some people that were like, can you just not use that word? And and some people have some discomfort associated with it. And it's important for them to have that because I need them to understand that this is about my identity. It's not about them. It's about who I am. And I wouldn't put that label on anyone who doesn't want to be called queer, because there are several people who don't that I've met, and they're not comfortable with the word, and it's fine.
Yeah.
So long as they know I'm talking about me, not them, then everything is kosher.
Everything is kosher.
And hi, Stephen.
Husband says, Brady, Bearonce, I have a question for you, Stephen. How's your head? So hello, Nikki Hamlin. Hello, Kirsten Squibb. I'm going to ask everybody before we go on to the next topic of discussion, if you can again go to the bottom, give it a bunch of hearts, share. Sharing is caring. All right. The more you share, the more we have everybody getting educated. Again, we are not, I'm not a doctor. The doctor fell down and broke his foot, so he's not here today. But I am the sassy bitch
so unfortunate
when people don't even like hearing it. Okay. There's one icon. Hello, Divine. I think she is part of the queer community because she broke barriers. She literally embraced so much. She wasn't male. She wasn't female. She didn't do female illusion. She did drag. She did camp. She did this. She did so much that she was like, I'm a human being. Let's just have fun, And of course, yes, we have to be serious in life too. We got to work and pay bills and,
right.
Make sure that we don't kill each other and all this other stuff. But, life is about having fun. Life is about having a good time. DC says a bunch of pink hearts. Scott Heath is in here. Hello, Scott. How are you doing? So on to this. Can you break down identity versus sexual orientation?
Yes. There are some people who I know that use queer to identify with their gender identity, meaning that they are either gender queer, gender fluid. Those are two common terms that I've heard, where they as a person, independent of their sexual orientation, may identify with their own body or express themselves with clothing in different in different or fluid ways. They might be androgynous, or they might dress feminine or masculine, and what have you, or a blend of whatever it is that they want to for their own identity. So that is the compartment that I typically associate with gender queerness in their gender identity. For someone's sexual orientation, a lot of times some people have they have a very complicated explanation associated with their sexual orientation. I have a friend of mine who it's continuously evolving with him, because it's something that would require a small book to explain, because just there are so many things that kind of drive his sexual orientation and his sex drive. Sometimes people that are asexual, demisexual, meaning that they have a sexual attraction to people that they have known intimately over a period of time. Some people who are aromantic, meaning that they enjoy sexual relations but don't necessarily pursue romantic interests. A lot of these can also fall under the queer umbrella, the queer label of that term, if they want to. So in this, and that is completely independent as gender identity. So they could identify as a cisgender male or female, or they could identify as a non-binary person, and still have that independent conversation of, these are the things that I'm attracted to, or these are things I'm attracted to in other people, and this is the way I identify as myself. Those are two very big separate football fields of information.
So I think it's also like one of those things, like, as I'm a hairdresser, I get asked a lot of questions, and girl, the book that I could write of the stories that I have heard. Let me just tell you. There's a reason why.
That's why her beard is so big. It's so full of secrets.
Full of secrets. That's why I think like everybody was like freaking out. It wasn't that their gray was growing out. It was because they didn't have their free therapists, because we are seriously therapists. But like, I've had clients that have asked me in concerning of like the trans community. Like say you have a signed at birth male, okay, that is in a gay relationship with another male. And then that first gay male transitions to female as they have learned who they are and how they identify, and where their brain and their heart connect is that a signed at birth male is truly female. And they ask me, they're like, well, so does that so I don't understand that. Like, are they
what label
are they
put on this?
Straight? Like, I don't get it. And I'm like, well, what do you not get? And they're like, well, when she was a he, which that's the first thing I hate. I hate that shit. But straight folks, I gotta say that shit. But no, but I'm not gonna say straight folks. I'm gonna say uneducated.
Uninformed
and uneducated. Because before they transitioned, they were male, but they were with a male, but now they're with a female. So like, what? And I'm like, okay, identification and orientation are two different things. Yep. I'm like, how you identify is your sexual identity. Who you choose to have sex with is your sexual orientation.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm sorry.
My brother's trans, and when he was assigned female at birth, and up until 3 years ago, he's in his 30s now, and so I think about 3-4 years ago, that's when he started transition, and his sexual orientation and attraction to women has not changed. But he also doesn't necessarily consider himself straight by any means, because the women that he usually dates and goes out with are typically on more of the queer spectrum, because it's not if he went on a Tinder date with a girl or something, and this person was uninformed about the trans community, that can, one, be a dangerous situation for him, or two, it could be a very disappointing situation for some people, because some people are stuck on what a person's plumbing is, and it's fine. But they definitely have some things that my brother is still goes to gay bars, still identifies under the queer umbrella, but doesn't, would definitely, like, if you ask my brother if because he dates women, if he's straight, he would be first to tell you that he doesn't. Because that envelope doesn't really fit him, it doesn't really work for him. So, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I think, like, I know, like, for me, the number one question, because, and I don't mean this in a negative way, the parts, I love hearts and I love parts, but the parts that I am attracted to, and people have asked me, like, I don't understand, like, you're such a handsome guy, why aren't you with girls? And I'm like, and literally, when they say that too many times, I go, because I like the way it feels when balls are slapping across my ass. And they're like,
yes, ma'am.
And they, like, literally.
Yep.
Karen, what do you have to say? What do you have to
had
say,
those situations too. Yep.
I'm like, when I feel them fucking slapping and doing that, I'm good to go. I'm good. I'm good.
You're reminding me of what I was editing earlier today. I'm sorry.
Oh, I live. Yes, bitch. Yes. You want to ride with her today? So I'm hoping it's going to be here. So I don't know if you saw my Facebook post, but I'm doing a show on Friday with Daphne Ferraro in St. Pete. Matt Price.
I miss you too, Matt.
This is you, Brady.
Aww. It's good to see you, honey.
I love Matt.
Come up to Chicago.
I love Matt. He's such a fabulous person.
He's
but I posted it is if anybody knew where I could get a sling rushed ordered, because I have a show performance that I want to do. Well, I also want a sling.
They're wonderful.
My friend Daryl Stevens, because Dan and I tried one out a couple months ago up at Roy's Hideaway in Georgia. Bitch, that was the first time I'd ever used it. Well, technically the second one, but the first time that I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I was topping, and I topped both times, but it was like the other one. It was just like I was drunk. It was a sloppy hole. My man ain't got a sloppy hole. He's pretty, you know. And it was enjoyable, and so I'm like, you know what? Because when you're a person of this stature, you know, when you're and you're laying on your stomach, sometimes the blood pressure can get to you, and it just doesn't stay hard for long. So, girl, I bought me one.
Really?
Yes, I bought me one. It's gonna be her 2-day air. I went ahead and paid it, the 2-day air from California, because I was like, I did the show and I want it anyways. So I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead. I want it to be good.
I've had mine for 6-7 years now, and it's a permanent fixture in the living room. Like it's right there. So yeah, she always stays set up because they're a bitch to set up.
And if your back ever hurts, you can just lay down, put your legs up, take the pressure off. You know,
mine has a nice window view with the train in the background. It's kind of nice, you know.
As the train enters into the tunnel, you know what I mean? So if we could go ahead and we could give a bunch of hearts to this, that would be fantastic and fabulous and amazing. There is one little banner that I want to throw up here really quick, and I want to read to you guys. I love this. I absolutely love this. And I can take my glasses off so I don't think you guys can see me. Things queer culture teaches that straight culture doesn't. You do not have to get married if you don't want to. You don't have to have kids if you don't want to. It's nobody's job to flirt with you or be flirted with. If you're into someone, do the work and tell them. People will judge you and reject you without knowing you. This isn't your fault. You are not the broken one. Your clothing and hair and other style choices are to make you feel good first and foremost. Yes. Signaling to your people is the secondary job of hair and clothes, but don't dress for them. Be you, they'll see it. Anyone who judges you badly for your hair and clothes is not your people and can fuck off. I'm going to say something about that though. As a hairdresser, bad hair is not cute. Sure. Physical affection in public is an act of deliberate courage.
Very much so.
Family is a matter of choice. Loyalty is a two-way street. Bitch, honey, if we want to go ahead and break that down, I got some tea that I could spill on that one right there. Mental health is important and it's hard. Anxiety and depression are natural reactions to the world. Sensitivity isn't weakness, it just means you pay attention. People who think sex only means a penis and a vagina deserve pity. They don't deserve better sex. Just pity.
Just pity.
Everyone who's interesting reinvented themselves after their world fell apart, just like you did. Community is a safe net from an unfair world. Let it catch you when you need it. Catch others when you can. Don't live your life for anyone else's happiness. Live for your own and share it. Listen, y'all. That right there says so much because it speaks truth beyond truth beyond truth, except for the hair part, because I'm a hairdresser.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, you could have crazy ass hair as long as it's done correctly crazy. I ain't mad at it. I am mad at it. So,
and to Drew's comment about like, wait, what's straight culture? It's that heteronormative culture that like exists around us, and it just it sucks. I totally get it. Because like it's the stuff that public school teaches you that like that queer culture then just has to like no, honey, you can choose your own family. You don't have to deal with your abusive family. And I think that that's probably one of the first lessons a lot of people learn about queer culture is exactly what the term family means. And I have held on to that because I've even had chosen family come and go in my life as I've aged through my 30s, and sometimes it's not a fun thing, but it's always a good thing in the long run.
Absolutely. And then Shan Wow says, louder for the folks in the back, please.
Not just because they're short. Okay. Hi, Shan.
So, Brady, I would just like to say thank you so much for joining us this episode. This was fantastic.
I'm glad I could be here.
I am so glad. You are one of the people that, like, when I came across the queue, I was like, who the hell can I ask? And literally, you were the first person that popped to my head. And the reason why, because it's
the hair.
You are vocal. You voice opinions with facts. And you say truth, and it's always with love.
I try.
It really is.
And I sent you a message if you wanted to tell people about, because you were asking about social media. I completely forgot to tell you where my Twitter is. So if you wanted to put that up on the broadcast or something, you're welcome to do that.
Oh, before I kick you off of here, I'm going to ask you this.
Okay, that's fine.
So, do we have any questions? Any questions? Shannon says, burn.
I love you, Shannon.
About the letter Q, queer in the LGBTQ community. We are coming to the close of the hour. So if you guys have any questions, type them out now. There is about a 30-second delay, so we will make sure that we stay before I go on to the next things. The one thing that I'm loving that Erick is not on here for is I can use my vape as much as I want, because when he's on here, I like me doing it because he gives me the shit. He's like, girl, we're supposed to be promoting good health. Which, by the way, if you would like good health care and you are in the Orlando, Florida area, you're going to go to crewhealth.org and schedule your appointment. But if you are outside of the Orlando area, you are more than welcome to go onto their website and click on there for teleservices, as they do healthcare teleservice-wise. They're the #1 provider for PrEP in the Orlando, Central Florida area, or I think it's all of Florida. So I think
wouldn't surprise me. And if you live in Illinois, your vape pen can look like this because we can have the marijuanas up here. So,
but see, I don't do the THC.
That's fair. I have. It's been interesting, to say the least.
Listen, you don't want to see me high. Listen, so first off, let's just say this. First off, 3 ibuprofen knock me out.
Oh my God, you are such a lightweight. I love
you.
Okay,
3. This is what's crazy. Any type of medication, if there's a side effect, I get it. But alcohol, bitch, and you've seen me tear it down. Alcohol, she's fine. She won't pass that blow test, but she's still fine.
Right.
Party it down. But you give me ibuprofen, I'll be sleeping on the dance floor.
That's why we have public transit, because it's a lot easier to get home on a bus than it is for you to try to drive home.
It is. So, all right, Brady. Well, I would like to say thank you so much for joining us. I don't see any
Welcome.
questions coming across that I'm looking both on the Facebook feed and the StreamYard feed.
And my Twitter is Chi-Town Cosmos FF. COSMOS FF.
So you know how to Twitter. What is your Facebook?
Facebook is Brady Botiford.
And is there anything that you want to say before I kick you out of here?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
No, thank you. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. You do not know how much I was just like, oh, thanks, yay. So,
I'm glad we can.
Yes, until next time, until we see each other again, I bid you farewell. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, everybody, how are we doing? Don't we just love Brady? Don't we just love Brady? If we can go ahead and do a bunch of hearts here, a bunch of hearts and farts and all of that good stuff. We're coming to the end of the show. So, before we come to the end of the show, there are just a couple little things that I want to tell you about. Next week, oh, girl, she's little parts. Let me lubricate. Next week, you're going to want to make sure that you're on here. We have James O-Town Kinkster coming on speaking about kink. And because of that, our lovely partners, whoops, let me get rid of this banner. Our lovely partners, Fat Marker Clothing, again, fatmarkerclothing.com, has graciously given us this to give away next week. A daddy hat with a banana. Banana. Yeah, so Fat Marker Clothing, one of your amazing LGBT owned and operated businesses here in Tampa, Florida, but ships worldwide. Their clothing is all over. You can find them on Instagram underneath Fat Marker Clothing. You can find them on Facebook underneath Fat Marker Clothing. You can go to fatmarkerclothing.com. You go to Twitter, Fat Marker Clothing. They're also, National Bearded Empress also has our merch line on there as well. So you can go on there and you can find any of the National Bearded Empress merchandise on there. They are giving away that daddy hat with the banana because God knows we all love to peel a good banana every now and then. Chiquita, go in my throat. So until next week, this week, I am both the sass and the science of Sass and Science. Remember, be kind to one another, love one another, stand up for everything that you believe in, and last but not least, make sure your ass is registered to vote and get out there. Get out there and vote, please. I ask and beg of you. So again, this is Bearonce Bear. Today, I am both the sass and the science, wishing you an amazing Monday evening. Thank you for joining us. Bye.